So we are calling this hair look I have to shower after this, and I don't really give a crap, so this is what you get. I'm gonna pretend like it's trendy. It's not trendy, it's just lazy. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Amaya. So today's video I am so excited to do because we are playing with new makeup. I know, it's my favorite too. Today we are going to be doing a review and tutorial on the new Colourpop Dark Blooms Palettes. So I have two of them right here. There are three in total, but the third one I just really wasn't feeling, so I only ended up picking up two. And today I'm going to be showing you guys a look with each of them. I'm wearing both of them on my eyes today, so you can get a kind of a feel of how they mix together. And we're going to talk about them, talk about the quality, talk about how they perform, all that sorts of good stuff. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop right into it. Okay, so first I am going to be showing you the tutorial section of this video, so we're going to hop into that right now, and then after that we will come back to the review. Okay, so the first palette we are going to use is the Ornate palette. This is the more red one right here. This is what we're working with. Really pretty fall shades, like literally fall in a palette if you ask me. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is take this yellow shade right there. It's called Siren. And I'm just going to be taking that and sweeping it into my crease. I mean, you can see that was one dip in with my brush, and you can see how pigmented that yellow shade is. Like, yes please. And I'm just building this color up because I really want this to kind of halo around the eye look that we're doing. Okay, now I'm going to go in with a little bit of the shade Charisma right here, which is kind of like a peachy reddish shade. And I'm actually going to take that on the same brush. And I'm just going to very lightly start to buff that into the crease. I'm just focusing it on the outer corner though. Okay, now I'm going to mix together the shades Rival and Shh right here. These two really nice rusty red shades, and I'm going to put those on my outer corner. And I'm doing this using a smaller brush so I can really pack on that color. I just love these red shades so much. They just look really good on my eyes, and I feel like they look good on most people in general. And they're just so pretty. These ones blend really well, and they're not too pigmented, but they still have obviously color payoff to them. They're not patchy or anything. So I feel like if you're getting into red shades and you need a really good palette to practice with, I would highly recommend this one. Okay, I'm just going back in with that other brush from before, and I'm just blending everything together. Okay, now I'm going to take this black shade right here called Dream. It does have glitter in it, but you can also use it as a matte. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm just going to take that and pack it kind of close to the lash line and in the outer corner area. Then I'm going back in with those red shades and kind of starting to blend that out. You really want to take your time with this part because black is a difficult shade to blend out, and this one is not the best black I've ever used, but it's pretty good. It just requires a little bit of patience and a little bit of care when you're blending. And then again, going back in with the other brush and just blending everything together. I'm just adding a little bit more red to the outer corner. I just want a little bit more of a rusty look. I want the black to be there, but I want it to look more like a dark red as opposed to an actual black. I'm just going to go back in with that yellow shade Siren, and I'm just going to buff everything out, creating a nice like haloed effect. Okay, now I'm going to be taking a combination of the shades Bohème and Fever right here, these two gorgeous shimmery reds. I'm going to be mixing those together for the lid. So all I'm going to do is put that on a brush, spray it with a little bit of facial mist, setting spray, and then I'm going to start patting / wiping that onto the inner third of the lid. And I do this with my eyebrows raised slightly so that way I don't get any weird crinkling or creasing. I'm going to take a little bit more Fever, which is the more red shade, and I'm going to concentrate this more towards the middle of the lid. These shimmers are so beautiful. They're definitely nice and metallic, but they have a little bit of sparkle to them, which I just absolutely love. Okay, now I'm going back in with just a little bit more of the reds, just to kind of blend everything out over here very lightly. Nothing too crazy. And then lastly, going in with just a little bit more of that yellow, barely any on the brush. And again, just buffing everything out, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. Lastly, I'm going to go in with the shade Gilded right here. Taking a little bit of that on a brush, spraying it, and I'm just putting that on the inner corner area right here, just to kind of act as a little highlight. Okay, now you guys know I'm not a huge winged liner person, but I do feel like this eye look needs it, so I am going to be putting on a wing. Okay, so for this look, I really wanted a nice big fluffy lash, so I'm taking Carrie from Cocoa Lashes. I'm going to put that on this eye. Okay, so I finished popping on the lashes, added some mascara and shadow to the bottom lash line, and this is the finished look using the Ornate palette. Okay, cool. So we are moving on to the Grandeur. You know what I mean. This one, the blue one. So we're moving on to this palette. I just have to say, like, how fantastic is this color story? I'm blown away at how much I love it. So we are just going to start out. I'm going to be taking the shade Velvet right here, which is just the perfect, like, neutral, beautiful crease shade, transition shade. And I'm just going to be buffing that all over my crease. These shadows are just chef's kiss beautiful. The texture is so creamy and smooth. Honestly, the shadows in this palette feel even silkier than Colourpop's average formula, which is crazy. Okay, now I'm just gonna deepen it up a little bit using Dusk, which is just a tad like darker, more chocolatey. I'd say it's still on the very neutral side though, maybe with a hint of warmth, but still pretty neutral. And I'm just buffing that again in the crease. The look we're going for on this side is kind of similar to the look I did in my Little Ray of Sunshine palette review, where I have kind of a, I don't even know what it's called, like a very like round rainbow type of effect. Okay, now I'm taking the shade Mode right here, which is just a beautiful like chocolatey delicious shade. This one definitely has a bit of red in it, which I really like with this palette. And I'm just going to take this on a very small brush and I'm going to focus this really in my actual crease, like the actual socket area right here. That's why I like using a small brush like this, because you can really get right in there. And I'm kind of going for like an even color all the way across. Okay, now I'm just going in with my favorite shade in this palette because it's called Jolie, which is my middle name. So I am going to be taking this shade, which yes, does have some green sparkles in it, but it can function as a matte. And I'm just going to put this in the crease as well. And I'm just going to start to lightly blend this into the crease, just like we did with the other shade. I mean, look at how effortless that blends. I'm hardly doing any work here. I'm just kind of zoning out, honestly, and just blending. These shadows are just so beautiful. I feel like Colourpop really upped their formula with these palettes. Okay, now I'm going back in with that fluffy brush that we used with no additional product on it and just blending everything out, making sure it's nice and seamless. Okay, now I am just going to take a teensy bit of this shade right here called Monaco, which is, I mean, for the most part, a shimmery green shade. I mean, it's pretty shimmery. Just because I want to add a hint of green to the crease. And obviously, yes, I know this is shimmery, but I just kind of want the green that I'm going to use on the lid to be translated to the green on, like, in the crease. I want there to be some green in the crease. I am going to go back over it with a little bit of Jolie and Mode mixed together, just so that way it's not too shimmery or anything. I just kind of want that green hue peeking through. I am just going to take a little bit more Velvet, which was that first shade that we used, on the fluffy brush and just buff everything out in the upper crease area. Okay, now for the lid, I'm going to be using the shade right here called Need, which is that classic greenish, bluish, and red-brown shift. I find that this one is not as duochromy as some of these types of shades tend to be, which is kind of nice. It's a little bit more subtle. I'm just putting that on a flat brush, and I did spray it with a little bit of setting spray. And I'm just going to apply this all across the lid, kind of going up towards the crease. Almost like I'm doing a cut crease, but I don't want it to be super sharp. It's okay that it's going to be a little bit blurred. This shade definitely comes off as more of a bluish shade as opposed to like a reddish shade, which I like. It kind of gives the eye look a little something different, which I think is fun. I'm just going back in with that thin brush with no additional product, and I'm just going to buff that crease area, just making sure that there's not anything too shimmery up here. You know what, on second thought, I am just going to take a little bit more of Mode and Jolie, just a tiny bit, just to deepen it up. Yeah, there we go. By adding that shimmery green in here too, it helps the gradient progress nicely and helps it not be too choppy, just helps everything blend together nicely. Okay, now I'm just going to take a teeny bit of House right here, which is that kind of sunshiny champagne shade. Just a very small amount on the brush. And this is just going to be popped in the very center of the lid to kind of mimic like a nice shine. Can you guys see that? I'm just gonna go back in with a little bit more of that other lid shade that we used and just kind of help blend it all together, but I really want that yellow shade to pop through in the center. Now for the fun part, I'm gonna take the glitter, which is called Excess, and I'm actually just gonna take this on my finger, and I'm just going to pop it right in the center there. Look at that, no glitter glue, nothing. Like, how cool is that? I'm gonna do one more blend. Okay, and then for these lashes, I wanted something kind of like piecey and just very like Instagram-y, so I'm going for my Lily Lashes and BoxyCharm collab lashes. These are in the shade CEO, the style CEO. Okay, so I just popped on the lashes and I added a little bit of shadow underneath my eyes and also a little bit of glitter, like kind of like a glitter tear dropping down. I don't know, I thought it looked kind of cool. I feel like it's very Instagram aesthetic, maybe, I don't know. But this is the final look with the Grandeur palette. Okay, so these are the finished eye looks. As you can see, they are quite different from one another, but I love both of them and I love both of these palettes. There is a third palette, but I did not pick that one up solely because I just did not find the color story interesting, but I did love these two and I highly recommend them if you want to pick them up. And yeah. Now back to the review. So I love Colourpop's eyeshadow formula. I like their single shadows, I like their palettes, I like their Super Shock shadows. I'm just a big Colourpop eyeshadow fan. So when I saw that they were releasing these palettes, which I actually saw because we got them in at Ulta before they launched, I was so excited by the entire aesthetic of these palettes. So this is the packaging right here. The packaging is basically the same as the outer packaging, but it has like this embossed feeling to it, which I just think is so nice. It's just standard packaging, but I wanted to keep it to show you guys anyways. And then the palettes are also the same thing. They're like this beautiful, it's almost like an oil painting kind of design on the outside. It's really, really pretty. And then it's textured for the lettering. It's like embossed, which is really nice. It makes it feel very like luxurious in a way. So these are their 9-pan palettes and they retail for $14, which I personally think is a really affordable price for a 9-pan eyeshadow palette. I don't feel like it's too expensive, but it's also not super, super cheap to where you feel like you might be not getting the best quality. And okay, let me just show you the inside of this one first. This is the Ornate palette. I mean, you guys, look at that. When I opened this up in Ulta, I was like, are you serious? Like my mind was blown. I absolutely love this color story. It is literally fall in a palette. This looks like all the fall leaves, the fall trees. It is so beautiful, and I feel like not only is it fall, it's also very holiday-esque, which I think is awesome because it's really hard to do a fall palette that also translates into holiday. I feel like sometimes they really go one way or another, but this palette just looks so beautiful, and I could see myself wearing this for fall or for holiday time. And then right here we have the Grandeur palette, and I mean, come on, like seriously. Especially this glitter in the middle. I saw this and I was like, yep, have to have it. I will put a picture of the third palette right here. I have to say I am not the most impressed with this palette. I don't know, something about the color story is just kind of off and kind of washed out. Definitely not as good as these two palettes right here. Okay, so let's talk about the Ornate palette first. So like I said, this one is literally fall in a palette. In here you have 5 matte shades, which are this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. You have 3 shimmers, which are these 3 right here. And then you have one like sequin shade. It's where it's a matte with glitter in it. And that's this guy right down here. But the thing that I like is that this one really works as a matte. You can totally use it as a matte. I use it like that in the tutorial portion. And it has like a red glitter in it, but it's not super chunky and it's not super noticeable. So you can totally use it as a matte. The glitter just kind of blends away, or you could use it all over the lid and you might get some of that glitter payoff. I will say that this shade right here, Fever, is probably my favorite shimmer just because it's so like metallic, just a really beautiful fiery red. So beautiful. I will say, other than this black, my least favorite shade in this palette is this one right here. It's called Gilded. I just feel like it's kind of lackluster. It's very powdery. It kind of has like a champagne gold with like a little bit of a red hint to it, but it just kind of comes across as like a satiny, yellowy gold. It's not my most favorite. And the only other critique that I have of this palette is that these two reds are extremely similar. Rival and Shh. I literally, like, you could take or leave one of these. I wish they had gone with a different color here. I don't really know what I would have put in there, but I probably would have taken one of these reds out because they are literally like basically identical. And of course, these are the standard Colourpop formula. They blend beautifully. They're pigmented, but not too pigmented. I find Colourpop shadows to be a little bit powdery, but I don't mind that. I feel like it actually helps them blend out a little bit better. I don't feel like they're super stiff and chalky in any way, so I really like that about this palette. I think the quality is gorgeous, and yeah, other than those couple of critiques I have, it's perfect. Okay, now moving on to the Grandeur palette. So again, outer packaging, so gorgeous. I love that it matches the inside. It kind of goes with this whole theme. I will say, looking at these two palettes side by side, let me show you. Which one would you guess would be the more wearable one? Probably this one, right? Just because it's those warm tones, those reds, we see those often. But I'm here to tell you that this one is actually way more wearable in my opinion, and I'll tell you why. You have these stunning browns right here. These are the most perfect neutral slash cool brown tones that I feel like I am lacking in my collection, and that I feel like a lot of palettes lately are lacking. This shade Velvet is just a really nice, neutral, cool, light transition shade. This one right here, Dusk, is just a little bit of a more mid-tone, slightly more warm. And then this one right here, Mode, oh my god, so gorgeous. It's a nice chocolatey brown. They work so well together. They blend so amazingly. I actually feel like this palette blends better than the other palette. I don't know why. I think that's just me. I think it's because these browns just work really well on my eyes. Maybe they blend better. I don't really know what's going on there. Could be my imagination, not sure. But I just absolutely love that they put these 3 browns in here. And I know that this looks like it's gonna be like a blue palette, but in all honesty, it's more of just like a grungy, cool tone palette. You do have this shade right here, Monaco, which is like, I don't know, I feel like this is like a serpent green. It's like an emerald black green with some glitter in it. It's not one of those sequin shades. It's definitely a shimmer, but it's more of like a glittery shimmer. I don't know how to explain it exactly. It's not my most favorite shade. This shade though, it is called Need, and I think that describes it perfectly. It is one of those blue brown flips. Like, remember MAC blue brown pigment or other shades like that? They were really popular for a while, and I'm glad to see that Colourpop is kind of bringing this back because I kind of forgot about these shades. The thing that I like about this is that it leans more blue as opposed to red, because I feel like sometimes with these like blue, brown, reddy pigments, they kind of tend to lean really far brownish red, but this one has a lot of blue in it and it almost creates this kind of like purple on the lid. The best way I can describe it, like a purpley, almost gray color. And then we have to talk about this glitter right here, XS. So pretty. It is just the perfect like platinum gold. Like it's not a yellowy gold, which I love because I really do not like yellowy golds. I like more cool tone golds, and this is just perfection. I'm so glad that they included this glitter shade. I know some people aren't a huge fan of glitter shades and palettes, but I would reach for this palette just for this glitter because I think it is so nice. I'm wearing it on my eyes today, as you can see, and I actually do not have any glitter glue on my eyes. You're not gonna get the same longevity out of it, or you're not gonna get the same precision out of it, but for just doing a little bit of a sprinkle of glitter, you don't even need glitter glue for this, which I think is awesome. I just love the color scheme of this palette, and I honestly didn't think that I would. I bought this being like, okay, I like it, it's a little bit different, let me try it. And I can honestly say that this will probably be one of my go-to palettes for these brown shades. I know that's super basic because I have these other cool shades to use, but this is a lot more wearable than you would think. Okay, so my overall opinion on these palettes. I love them. I think they are fantastic. I think they are one of the best and most thought out collections that Colourpop has done in a long time, because I know that Colourpop kind of been slacking lately. They've kind of been just pushing out palette after palette and they've been kind of subpar. These ones, I feel like they put a ton of thought into. I feel like they've really worked on the color schemes. They're super creative. I can't think of any palettes that are similar to these right off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but off the top of my head, in my collection, I can't think of palettes that I have that are similar to these, and I have a pretty sizable collection, so the fact that I can't find palettes that are similar to these means a lot to me and really makes these worth the money. So I feel like if you even have a decent sized makeup collection, you could totally benefit from having these in your collection. So that is it for this video, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing me talk about these palettes and also seeing a makeup look with them. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below if you're thinking about picking up these palettes. If you have any questions about them, definitely let me know. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Mwah.